at the emergency HOA meeting under those buzzing fluorescent lights and a wall of folded arms. I watched our president's hand start to shake when my name flashed on the projector. And that was the moment I knew the whole game had flipped. Up there on the screen wasn't a violation notice or some bogus fine schedule. It was a county-certified deed with my name on it. Ownership of the access easement they thought would let them choke out my home and my neighbors. Karen Morrison, who'd spent months acting like she owned every inch of Maplewood Crossing, finally realized the nobody she tried to bully was holding the one document that could bury her. My name is Robert Rogers. I'm 40. I've spent most of my life in construction management, where details matter and paperwork matters more. And when I bought my place in Maplewood, I did what you're supposed to do. I read the covenants. I paid for a survey. I pulled county permits. I sat through Karen's little slideshow about community standards and walked out thinking, fine, follow the rules, and you'll be left alone. 6 months later, I put in a gate that apparently offended the wrong ego. My lot backs onto woods. We'd had a couple of sketchy cars at night, and I like knowing who comes up my driveway, so I designed a black iron gate, clean solid, kept it under the height limit entirely on my property. County signed off. That morning when I tightened the last bolt, I felt that quiet satisfaction of a job done right. 30 minutes later, I heard tires grinding up my drive. 3 white SUVs in formation Maplewood compliance magnets on the doors, like they were serving warrants. Karen steps out in a navy blazer on a Saturday bun, pulled tight clipboard ready. No hello, just a cold stare at my gate. Mr. Rogers. I told you all, exterior structures require prior approval. This gate is unauthorized. I take out the permit, keep my voice steady. County approved within Section 12, all inside my line. She barely looks flips a packet free. Section 12-3 was amended in March. Maximum height, 12 inches without written board approval. You received certified notice. You signed. You now have 48 hours to remove this, or you'll incur fines of $500 per day until compliance. Just like that. No discussion, no grace, just a countdown and a threat. I tell her I never got that amendment, and in March I was in Ohio dealing with my dad's funeral. She taps the fake signature with her pen and says our records reflect proper notice. If you neglected your responsibilities, that's on you, then sends her officers to photograph every inch of my property like a crime scene. You know that feeling when someone talks down to you in front of your neighbors on your own driveway while they wave paper in your face? Yeah, that was me standing there with a wrench in my hand, trying not to give her the angry homeowner stereotype she wanted. I swallow it. Say I'll review the documents. She smiles, repeats the deadline, and their little convoy rolls off. A minute later, Helen Williams from across the street shuffles over in slippers. With her coffee mug, lifts her phone and says, I recorded all of that if you need it. And on her screen is crystal clear video of Karen announcing an amendment I've never seen and firing off that $500 a day threat. 5 minutes after that, a gray sedan pulls up. And here comes David Thompson, board member khakis, and an apologetic smile. Robert. Sorry about the tone, he says. Karen's strict, but our goal is fairness. Maybe there was a mailing issue. Let me help you file an appeal so we can pause enforcement. He sounds calm, reasonable, like the good cop they wheel out after the hit. We set a coffee meeting. For a second, I believe maybe there's one adult in that room. That night, I spread everything across my kitchen table. The certified mail receipt has my name in handwriting that is absolutely not mine, dated when I was out of state. The amendment guts the original rule, and somehow nobody remembers getting it. The violation letter doesn't warn it detonates. 500 a day until I break. Something in me shifts from confused to cold. At coffee the next morning, David shows up with a neat folder. He's already drafted an appeal for my convenience full of polite language about misunderstanding and respect for the board. He tells me if I sign and present it. Humbly fines can be paused. I nod. Take it home, send it to my friend Janet, who now practices real estate law. She calls and says, "Robert, this thing is rigged. It admits to violations that aren't real and cites rules that don't help you. It's a setup with nice margins." That's when I stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. I can't sleep, so I start doing what I do at work when numbers don't add up. I pull records. County land database, subdivision plats, easements. That's when I see it. The main access road serving my section, the only real way in and out, used to be a county easement leased to the HOA for $1. A few weeks before my gate, that easement was transferred to a private company called Thompson Holdings LLC, registered to David Thompson. The helpful board member owns the road under my tires. You don't need a law degree to feel what that means. Helen invites me over and opens her own archive. Months of photos of men and ignoring violations at her friends' houses, then burying others in letters. Footage of Karen and David literally standing on my driveway with measuring tape before I ever moved in audio of them talking about needing leverage on our section. She watched one neighbor get pushed into a desperation sale and decided to document instead of complain. I send it all to Janet. She spells it out: forged notice. Selective enforcement conflict of interest coordination that looks a lot like using HOA power to shape who stays and who goes. Then she asks, "Do you want to fight this or roll over?" I think about my dad, about every time someone in a suit talked down to a guy in work boots, about Karen's voice telling me I had 48 hours to destroy a legal project on my own land. And I hear myself say, "We fight. We set the trap." I call David lay on the worry. Say I'm scared of saying the wrong thing at the emergency board session. Ask if he can walk me through the right tone. He's all in. Invites me to his house. His office is leather plaques, big window facing that road. Before I knock, I hit record on my phone. He goes line by line through that. Appeal keeps circling back to how owners who cooperate don't have access issues. How the board is much more understanding when you respect their authority. I let him talk himself comfortable. Then I ask casual, "So is that why you bought the road?" He freezes just enough for the mask to slip. Mumbles something about liability. I turn my phone so he sees the red light and tell him my attorney has seen his draft. I've seen the easement transfer, and if Karen pushes one more bogus fine, that recording, and Helen's footage, and every document are going to people whose badges don't say HOA. For the first time, he doesn't have a script. Same day with Janet's help, I pull records on an old surveyed alternate access route. The developer never used, file the paperwork, and secure that easement legally in my name. It gives our side of Maplewood a lawful way in and out that doesn't touch David's strip of asphalt, which means his road is no longer a loaded gun. By the night of the emergency meeting, the room is packed. People who've gotten letters for nonsense, people who've watched friends get targeted, people who usually ignore HOA stuff but smelled smoke. Karen walks in stiff with 2 lawyers and tries to open with a speech about misformation. I let her talk just long enough. Then I stand up and, as calmly as I can, start rolling the tape on what actually happened. I show the fake certified signature with proof I was out of state. I show the amendment no one remembers receiving. I show the violation letter jumping straight to 500 a day. I put up the record where David's company quietly bought the only road. I play clips Helen recorded of Karen and David pre-planning enforcement against my property. Then I play the part of my conversation with David in his office where he ties my cooperation to avoiding access issues. You can feel the temperature in that room drop. Karen's lawyers try out of context, but Janet is there, and so is a county investigator we looped in. Both are taking notes. Finally, I throw up the slide with the deed to the alternate access easement, my name county seal, and I tell my neighbors, this means none of us out here can be trapped behind a road one board member owns in secret. You have a way in and out they can't use as a threat. And then, looking right at Karen, I say, 6 days ago, you gave me 48 hours to tear down a legal gate, or you'd bury me in fines. You forged my notice, your board member drafted a fake appeal, and you thought I'd fold. I'm not folding. Nobody rushes to her defense. Board members who weren't in on it suddenly find their spines. They vote to suspend Karen pending investigation. David resigns by email before the meeting ends. The investigator walks out with copies of everything. Over the next weeks, the fallout hits. Audits, lawsuits, charges. Helen is chosen as interim president, and the letters from the HOA start sounding like they're written by a neighbor, not a dictator. The threats stop. My gate stays exactly where I built it. And me, the quiet guy who just wanted a safe driveway, I'm suddenly the one people thank in the grocery store and side-eye at the same time. Because here's the part that's messy, I own that alternate route. I'm the one who pushed back hard enough to break their game. Some folks joke that I'm the new road king. I don't want that. So I put it in writing. Open use, clear terms, full transparency, and when the community is ready to move it into a neutral trust, I'll sign the papers. But I won't apologize for what happened to Karen and David. They forged, they targeted, they gambled with other people's homes. They counted on everyone staying scared and polite. For once, somebody didn't. So I'm curious what you think. If this were your name on that fake signature and your house on that dead-end road, would you have done less, done more, or walked away? And where's the line between defending yourself and going too far? Drop your take in the comments. Tell me if I went too hard or not hard enough, and share your own HOA stories so people see how this really works.